Hello, how is everyone? Um, I'm glad to have this moment to talk to you. It's been time, but we spent many days, all of us working together to deal with this pandemic. I hope everyone is continuing to keep safe and so that we can continue with the fight. I want to thank all Rwandans, the leaders and the health workers, everybody who has registered their support for the effort to deal with this situation. So without much ado, I'm happy to be with you to discuss anything that is on your minds. I'll also be able to tell you what is on my mind.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll go straight away into the questions. If everybody who has a question can raise their hand, and when you take the microphone, if you can please introduce yourself and your media house. Tajire, we'll start with you. Go ahead, Kajire.
This Excellency, I work for Fidelity and Cape Press.
Hello? Come on, continue.
I wanted to ask, during the webinar, because April 14, the webinar with the investors on April 14,
You're not coming through
Yes.
easily. There's something to be worked on, I guess. We are not getting you clearly.
Thank you, Excellency. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Your Excellency, on April 14th, during your video conference with investors from across the world, you mentioned that some key sectors of the economy would benefit from some government stimulus package in order for them to keep going. Yesterday, we saw that Rwanda will be cutting the salaries of employees up to 65%. Your Excellency, we want to know how will this work out and when do we expect to see this support come through for businesses? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Right. I think what we are doing is really mobilizing resources, and we already have ideas which sectors to look at that would deserve any kind of support. So everything is work in progress. Whether it is supporting the small, medium businesses, or later on big ones, or specific institutions like the airline we have. All these will be looked at. So at the same time, we are trying to mobilize resources, as I'm saying, and making good progress. Some of the problems might be taking their toll already, like you mentioned with the Rwanda. So we are not yet in a position to start fixing these kinds of problems, but we are making plans ahead to do that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kajire. We have the next question. We have the next question from Margot.
Mr. President, my name is Margot Chevance. I work for the channel TV5 Monde. I would like to know if the lockdown is going to end this Thursday, and does the country have a specific plan with different stages, for example, after the lockdown? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, what is going to happen?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, we are in the 42nd day since we started dealing with COVID-19. Of course, from the outset, the challenges seemed to be insurmountable, but we mobilized ourselves and started dealing with the problem as we saw it, as we were capable of, or as we learned from other places that had been hit before us. So we did take measures progressively until we came to the lockdown. In fact, it's not too long ago when the cabinet sat and discussed and reviewed what progress had been made and what more needs to be done. This is how we came to extending the lockdown. This time around, before we take other measures, again, the cabinet of ministers is supposed to meet and put together the information that has been collected from different places, including the work that has been done by the Ministry of Health in collecting data both from rural and urban areas, specifically the capital city of Kigali, and also analyzing what is going on around us in the region, cross-border activity, and how that feeds into the problem we have to deal with. So we therefore are looking at this information and then deciding what next steps. And you are right in a sense. It's not that even if we were to talk about taking another step forward, say on Thursday, that would loosen everything and go back to normal as the case was before. It is making those steps in view of the care we need to take to make sure that the progress we have made is not negatively affected, but at the same time, it is sort of loosening a stranglehold, if you will, on the lives of people under lockdown. So it is a sort of balance act to be made. How much do you continue progress and not allow the virus to make a comeback? So in that case, how much risk, or if you will, a calculated risk, do we take to balance normal life versus the problem we have had? So we will keep taking steps as we take care of these two things, understanding the risk we are taking and the progress we are making, and also the work towards the normalization of life. So we will be deliberately taking step by step, looking at the data looking at how people are affected, how they also get involved in dealing with the problem, and so on. So many things come together in this sense.
Thank you, sir. Next question. London.
Mr. President. My question is about the region, East African community. There has been some suggestions that the EAC has lacked a cohesive response to the COVID pandemic. And much of the blame has been placed on you as head of the bloc. What is your reaction to such accusations?
Right. Well, I'm the chairperson of the East African community currently. Yes, so that implies responsibility in a sense. But even being the chair of the East African community, you don't manage partner states' affairs. Still, countries manage themselves the way they deem fit, even if one would wish that we look at it in a sense of collective responsibility, working together so that we deal with this problem that is facing us, all of us. For a couple of days in the past, I mean, for some time now, a number of meetings have taken place. The ministers of health have met virtually and discussed and agreed how to coordinate. There was need for continued meetings, and the effort is ongoing. We attempted to also hold a summit, heads of state to meet and discuss and give direction and in a coordinated way. This did not happen. It happened because it did not happen because a number of countries, 3 specifically, and in a sense, because of the procedures that are used in the East African community, where all members have to be available for such a meeting take place. That did not happen because of the 3 member states whose leaders were not able to connect with all of us, the rest, for the summit. But the effort was made, and we even made an effort to try and have another one at another date that suited everyone. Still, it appeared not everyone was ready. So, in essence, here we were affected more by even the procedures than really the substance. So, in other words, the collective responsibility we have and the problem we have is where procedure takes precedence over substance, because we have really to practically deal with this matter. But so that is so. And there are other things we need, and we still keep trying to make an effort so that we harmonize, we work with each other, especially when it comes to these cross-border activities like trucks. As you have seen in our case, in the case of Rwanda, we have noticing a problem. While we had really taken full control of the situation and reining in the virus, In fact, more people had recovered than those who were being affected, who were already still sick and in isolation, in a quarantine. But all of a sudden, cross-border activities introduced other numbers rapidly. So we are now also trying to deal with that. And there is no better way of dealing with that than through regional cooperation and coordination and understanding each other so that we manage this common problem. So responsibility, yes, I have responsibility because I'm one of those leaders of the partner states. At the same time, I'm also the chairperson of the East African community. But you also understand that even being a chair, you still have certain limits imposed on how much you can do, even if you wanted to do it.
Thank you, sir. Next question. I have a question from Nasra.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Nasra Bishumba, and I work for the New Times. My question is about the $1 million contribution you made to the African Union COVID Fund and the Africa CDC. What would you tell Rwanda right now who is thinking about their next rent is coming from, their next meal? What would you tell them about the value of contributing this money to someone who feels that maybe this money should have gone to Rwandans first and then later to the African Union? Thank you.
Yeah, you understand. In these situations, it's not either or. You either do this or you do that, and you can't do both. It's not the case. In these situations, you find you've got to do so many things at the same time. So the statement that the money that has been made to AU COVID Solidarity Fund and the other to CDC is a sort of misplacement of the effort. That is not very true, because we know we have Rwandans, of course, to take care of, and to primarily they come first. That is no question about it. But that also means you may recall that there are other things being done for Rwandans as well. But I think working together, either as Africans or whether it is a sub-region or the continent or even internationally, you are not going to run away from the responsibility of making your own contribution, which in a sense, by the way, feeds back to you. If CDC is doing well, if the African Union is doing well, in the end, it feeds back to us as Rwandans. We benefit from that as well. So to have contributed, like many other countries did, to these two funds, I believe is a noble cause that even more countries need to contribute to. If we have a CDC that is working and is working for us well, that's what we want, that's what we expect, and that's what we benefit from in the end. If we have an African Union working very well, in this effort to fight COVID-19. If it is working well, we benefit, and that's what we want. So 1,500,000 in one fund and 500,000 in another US dollars. Well, it may sound a big thing in view of if you put it in the hands of Rwandans, but I think we have also mobilized more funds for Rwandans than the 1 million. In fact, maybe that's where we are even drawing the 1 million from the resources that have been mobilized. And there are more resources going to Rwandans than those who have contributed to the two funds. So I think it depends on how you want to look at it. The way we looked at it is the way we acted. And I think you will agree with me, at the end of the day, there is more benefit from this collective effort than the 1 million we put there.
Thank you, sir. The next question, Albert.
That's in Albert. Two questions actually. The current pandemic, also this big side, the whole world is suddenly being affected not only on health reasons, but also for many economical side of it. This people want to come back to normal, somehow request a global kickstart, which means a global solidarity, and in new discussions in the council, which will be all that. Can you feel that there is progress in that conversation on how to support each other once the pandemic is contained? The question is current affairs in the region, Mr. President. Some reports saying that RDF could be back in CONGO, in the Kivu, and some reports saying that the RDF is actually having a war there. And we are seeing actually that it's FARDC cleaning up. What's your comment on?
All right, the first one, I think what we are seeing happening, you see many efforts across the world. If you remember, some time back, we had a meeting of the G20 countries, and the others were invited to participate. It was in view of trying to see how the world can come together, including the rich countries, the not so rich, the poor countries, all together discussing what needs to be done for each country, each region, or by every one of those, and together, two things. One, dealing with the pandemic itself, reining it in, and strengthening and building or rebuilding the health systems, even thinking about the future, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, the discussion also being that how about beyond this pandemic? Because there will be a time when we will be beyond this pandemic. And it will have, of course, caused enormous damage to the economies of countries. So those are the two major things that people are looking at. And later on, we have had a couple of meetings, continental, the African Union, the Bureau of the African Union under the the President of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and the Bureau of the AU and the other, again, heads of state invited for different reasons to participate. It was, again, looking at everything through the lens of Africa, but linking with the rest of the world, where, again, we looked at the pandemic as it was affecting us and how do we deal with it, using also the collaboration with the other countries outside of Africa. And then how do we bring in other actors, the private sector, and for this mobilization against the pandemic? But how do we bring in everybody else now to also prepare for and deal with the situation when we are past this pandemic? I can see, therefore, these efforts building up, coming together, sharing best practices, and identifying different places where resources can come from, putting up different formulas as to how different obstacles can be addressed, and so on and so forth. So I think there is good progress. There is good progress in dealing with the pandemic. Each country, region, sub-regions, continental, collaborations across, we are seeing that. Institutions like WHO that has played part as the driver of what needs to be done in this side of the pandemic, or playing their rightful role, and I think with significant progress. Then we see the World Bank, IMF, African Development Bank, different institutions in Europe and America, different places, China, Russia, Canada, everyone, saying through these multilateral institutions and other institutions, how do we utilize or mobilize resources to help deal with this across the board, across the world, and how do we deal with the socio-economic situation that comes after that. So good progress on that, I think. The second part of your question, every time this thing happens or comes up, reminds me of the long history we have been with the problem. We are now 26 years into the problem of genocidaires, the different armed groups that have been born, and some of them now have grandfathers and grandfathers, and they have continued to be born every time, everywhere. So, but I have always seen there is one constant. The one constant is the failure to deal with this problem. Even if the discussion for the last 26 years has always been to deal with this problem, what is even worse is that a certain I would say, certain people, I don't know how to call them, who should be actually responsible for dealing with this situation, end up perpetuating the situation. And all of these survive on myths, rumors, all kinds of things you find anywhere, including, surprisingly, the experts. There are experts who have been operating in this region for the last 26 years. They tell the same story, the same, sometimes spread the same rumors, another time spread even the same lies, and that is what we are now used to for the last 26 years without seeing actually an end, a solution to this problem. Now, why am I saying this? I have heard the same stories you are talking about, you have heard. Let me start with the southern part of eastern Congo. That is Uvira, Minembwe, where the Banyamulenge live, and that whole region south of Bukavu. I am surprised that you have some of these experts who don't see what is there that is actually supposed to be seen by anyone who is there. But instead, they see what is not there. What I mean is, how could somebody be talking about Rwandans or RDF, Rwanda Defense Forces, in that part of the region, because they are not there? And this same person or these people don't see the very things happening there. Through our intelligence collection, which we share, by the way, with those who are even supposed to be dealing with the situation, because we give it to them when we have collected it, so that they can actually do what they are supposed to do. Our intelligence collection tells us we have forces from Burundi, government forces operating in that region. We have a number of rebel groups, you can't count them easily, in that situation. They involve Burundi, they involve people from here, those old groups connected with the FDLR that kept breaking up into different pieces, and we have those groups that have gone as far south in those areas of Fizi and have been operating in that region, working together with the different Mai groups, and then the other groups from Burundi on both sides fighting each other. It's a cocktail. It's a mess. So I don't know whether people are confusing genuinely or deliberately the Rwandans that are said to be there and have been there for a long time are these offsprings of FDLR. It's not RDF. These are two different things. There is not a single soldier of RDF that has gone to that territory. Not a single one. I say it with authority. But some NGOs, some journalists are able to see battalions and all kinds of things. But the government of DRC knows the fact, knows that RDF, not a single soldier of RDF is there. They know those I don't know what MONUSCO says. I don't know what whoever wants to say the same. So please, take it from me, there is not a single soldier in that part of the world. Now, you can come to the north. I'll tell you again something that is intriguing, linking to the history of this problem. I mentioned to you that fortunately, we have a government in DRC that has come to agree to work with the region, the countries in the region, their neighbors, to try and resolve this problem that has been there for decades. And the government of DRC, the current government, has been very helpful in working with the countries in the region. According to some people, of course, that's not a good thing. The same people who create those stories, like you have in the South. It's not a good thing that the government of DRC would be working with countries, neighboring countries, to deal with this matter, because for some reason it is a problem they want to preserve, so that maybe it stays for another 25 years. I don't know. And that's why they are putting pressure on them by creating these lies and saying, look, you know, there's another group coming. So first, they don't talk about other countries. They talk about Rwanda all the time. That's okay. I have no problem with that. Because anyway, we are the ones with the bigger problem to deal with. Now, recently, there was a problem in, let me first talk about that collaboration has resulted into, when I told you that we give information to our partners in the region, including the UN and others, the information we get about these activities. We have been giving information as well to the government of DRC, and in fact, they started acting on some of the information we gave them because they were also able to verify and see what was growing in the North Kivu, and started operating against these groups of FDLR, and they have all kinds of names. I don't want to go into that. When they started operations, and based on this information and collaboration we had with them, now the whole thing turns against them again. It's like actually acting against these groups is a crime in itself. And then a dynamic is set up internally to start questioning, harassing the government. They say, you know, why do you see this Rwanda, which is coming in and doing this? They're not complaining about the presence of FDLR. They're not complaining about the havoc they cause to the people of the DRC. No, they are creating a myth and some kind of monster of RDF having crossed and gone into DRC to carry out operations. Nothing talked about even what they would be operating against if they crossed. Now, recently, you saw the FDLR laid an ambush on this road in areas of Ruchuru. They killed these guards who work in Virunga, massive on the DRC side. There was only one mention once and about, you know, some FDLR, some rebels from Rwanda having killed people, and that was it. That's not a big deal. It's not an issue. So they just make a mention it in the passing. It's like these people have been made to feel entitled actually to do whatever they want to do in the DRC, and if anybody raises anything about them. But the UN forces are there. In fact, they were brought there to deal with that problem. I wish they had dealt with the problem or are dealing with the problem. They are not. So everything comes to be summarized as Rwanda getting involved in DRC. That is the answer for every problem that is raised about it. So, my dear friend, one, DRC has been very helpful because it's their territory, and the people in DRC are the ones actually suffering on the hands of these rebel groups. Maybe except those who work with them, some benefit from working with them. As you saw, it's not even based just in DRC, it's external. Somebody complains about Rwanda being in DRC, operating against the FDLR, and they prefer to call them refugees rather than FDLR. And they are doing that from abroad. And some of these people who are doing that are Rwandese who actually finance or support these groups operating in DRC, or their supporters also who are not Rwandese necessarily, who are from Europe or America or wherever. So the whole thing keeps being a cocktail. And that explains why this problem has been there for the last 26 years. So probably I gave you more than you expected or wanted, but that's the way I can put it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next question from Kagame.
Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, Jean-Pierre Kagabo, nkorera RDF. Perezida, kutubonera uyu mwanya mu gihe iki cyorezo cyugarije isi, kuko mwakomeje no kuwutubonera mu bihe bisanzwe. Nyakubahwa Perezida, ingaruka z'iki cyorezo zigaragaje cyane mu gihe manda abaturage bise y'ubudasa y'umuvuduko ya 2017 2024 isigaje imyaka 4. Ibyo mwasezeranije abaturage bikubiye muri gahunda nyine ya guverinoma yiswe yo guhindura abaturage. Nyakubahwa Perezida, mukurikije ingaruka z'iki cyorezo haba ku mibereho myiza no ku bukungu bw'isi n'ubw'igihugu cyacu, murabona ibyari biteganijwe bishoboka kuzagerwaho cyangwa se murabona ko bikenewe yuko wenda iyi gahunda ya guverinoma yavugururwa hashingiwe ku bizaba byizwe neza bigaragaza ingaruka iki cyorezo kizagira ku bukungu? Nyakubahwa Perezida, nsoza kuri iki ngiki, abanyarwanda bagiye baca mu bihe bigoye bitandukanye, cyane cyane turebye mu myaka 26 ishize, hari imbaraga bagiye bishakamo. Murabona iki cyorezo ko kikwiye kuba umwanya wo kwishakamo izindi mbaraga n'ibindi bisubizo bituma bihuta mu iterambere kuruta uko wenda byabadindiza nk'uko abantu bashobora kwitega ko izi ngaruka ari nyinshi cyane? Murakoze Nyakubahwa Perezida.
Iki cyorezo ntabwo ari cyo kibazo cyonyine cyangwa cya mbere abanyarwanda bahuye nacyo. Abanyarwanda twahuye n'ibibazo byinshi bitandukanye. Iteka abanyarwanda barafatanya bagakora uko bashoboye, bagakoresha imbaraga zabo uko bibashobokeye, tugatera imbere. Iki cyorezo rero cyo ni cyo guhangana nacyo mu mwanya wacyo, kuko ni ikintu gikomeye gihungabanya ubuzima bw'igihugu n'abanyarwanda nyine n'ubukungu byose birimo. Ariko ubwo ni n'ikitwibutsa ngo niko bikwiriye kugenda igihe twahuye n'ibibazo nk'ibi bingana n'icyorezo ubwacyo, ni ukwishakamo ibyo dufite byose niyo byaba ko dukomeza tugashakisha n'ahandi ibyo tudafite, ariko duhera ku byo dushoboye. ngira ngo ni isomo tumaze igihe kinini twiza ahari buri we munyarwanda, ni nayo mpamvu ubona kenshi bitaduhungabanya cyane cyangwa se tubisohokamo nk'abandi wenda uko babikora, ariko kuri twe biradukundira. Hanyuma ngarutse ku cyo wabanje kubaza rero, iki cyorezo cyo gifite ibintu byinshi kizahindura ku ngamba twari dufite, twari twarateguye bizakorwa mu gihugu by'iterambere, imibereho myiza y'abaturage. Hari byinshi bizahindura, ariko ntabwo ari byose, ahubwo ibintu bimwe byahawe imyumvire yindi ku buryo wenda ari byo bikwiriye no gushyira imbere cyangwa bigashingirwaho kugira ngo n'ibindi bikorwe. Ubwo urumva rero hazahinduka byinshi, ari mu mitekerereze, ari mu mibare, ari mu gushaka kwihutisha ibintu, ni nk'ikintu cyiza kigasa n'ikikangura abantu cyangwa gisunika abantu gukora n'ubundi ibyo bakoraga, ariko ku buryo bwihuse cyangwa se bundi bitewe. Ndibwira ko rero niko bigenda n'ubundi, ntabwo usibye n'icyorezo iyo kihaba, niyo twakoze plan tukazishyira mu bikorwa, bigeraho rimwe na rimwe bitewe n'ibyo ugenda uhura nabyo mu mikorere, ibyo y'igenamigambi wafashe, hari ibyo ubona uti n'ubundi ibi bikwiriye guhinduka. Ntabwo tugenda nk'abahumirije rero, buri ntambwe dutera tugenda tureba niba ijyanye n'igihe, ijyanye n'uko twatekereje, cyangwa se niba hari ibindi twakongeraho bigahinduka. Ndumva nta nkomyi ihari, nta nzitizi dufite yo kuba twatekereza ukundi ibyo twateguye tukabikora ukundi, cyangwa se aho bigomba gukorwa nk'uko byateguye nabwo bigakorwa. Dufite uburenganzira bwose bwo kubikora uko tubona n'icyo biduha.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next question from Fiona.
Excellency, my name is Naringwa Fiona Muthoni. I'm a journalist with CNBC Africa. Now, I just wanted to ask, it's in line with the previous question as well as part one of Albert's question. What are some of the recovery plans for the economy that the government is currently working on?
Right, as I said, we have to be dealing with the two things at the same time. We are dealing with this pandemic that continues to affect the whole world. So we are channeling resources there to make sure that it does not continue feeding into other things we are doing for a better future. But at the same time, as I said, while we deal with the pandemic, we're also thinking of how we deal with the consequences on the normal lives of people, whether it is at work, it is employment, therefore it is productivity, all kinds of things that have been making our economy what it is. Now, we want to see business activity internally resume. We want to see how do we do business with the rest of the world, avoiding the problems that would come along relating to the coronavirus, and so on and so forth. So all that comes into being by looking at a number of things. What the measure we are getting, for example, there is almost going to be, in a sense, some kind of contraction into the economy. Whoever was aiming at maybe, like in our case, we are always looking at our economy growing in excess of 8%. Next year, for this year, for example, we are going to see it come down. Maybe the estimates we are getting is around 3.5%. Now, that means, therefore, it has been hit already, or even going forward, some of the things won't be done the way we expected them to be done. And that's what we are looking at. So how do we revive businesses? How do we revive our exports? How do we have our tourism thrive again? It's going to be a slow process. So we are taking measures along these lines, how to really inject life back into the system and allow what was happening in the area of construction, the investments we are making in the area of energy, the mining sector, and so on and so forth. So as I said from the beginning, we not only looking at sector by sector and seeing how it has been affected and what it needs to restart the activity there, we are also looking at the resources required. How do we mobilize resources to now inject back into the system as required as well? So it's a comprehensive plan, if you will, looking at every aspect and prioritizing, of course, always. Priority here being the people of Rwanda. How do they get back their life, their economic, their social life, and be that driver they have always been?
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other questions? Take a question from Mahoro.
Amahoro Claudine, ndi umunyamakuru kuri Radio 10 na TV 10. Bimwe mu bihugu harimo n'ibya Afurika byatangiye gufungura bimwe mu bikorwa birimo n'iby'ubucuruzi kugira ngo barengere ubucuruzi n'ubukungu bw'ibihugu, cyane ko OMS yamaze kugaragaza ko iki cyorezo dushobora kuzabana nacyo igihe kinini. Ese nk'u Rwanda haba hari uburyo nyuma y'itariki 30 ibizatekerezwaho hakagira bimwe mu bikorwa bifungurwa nyuma y'itariki itari by'ingenzi nk'ibyari byatangajwe? Murakoze.
Can you say that again, the specific question?
Ibihugu byo ku isi birimo n'ibya Afurika byamaze gutangira gufungura bimwe mu bikorwa bitari by'ingenzi nyuma y'uko OMS nayo yatangaje ko iki cyorezo gishobora kuzabana n'abantu igihe kinini. Mu Rwanda haba hari uburyo bwo gutekereza gufungura ibindi bikorwa bitari iby'ingenzi nyuma y'itariki 30?
Nigeze kubivuga nsubiza umuntu umwe mu rurimi rw'icyongereza, ariko reka nyine mbivuge mu kinyarwanda, ukuntu ibintu byahagaze mu gihugu cyacu by'ubukungu n'ibindi, ndetse n'abantu n'imigenderanire yabo, byagiye bikorwa bikurikije ibyagombaga kwitabwaho kugira ngo dushobore kurwanya iki cyorezo. Mu minsi yashize twagize inama ya guverinoma isuzuma uko ibintu byagenda, ndetse bivamo ko dukomeza inzira yo kuba dufunzeho kubera uko twarebaga ibintu byifashe. Ariko nyuma yaho hashyizweho uburyo abantu bakomeza kwiga, noneho no kujya no mu giturage n'ahandi hirya hose kureba uko iki cyorezo niba cyaragiye kigera ahandi gikwira. Hanyuma tuza gusanga bishaka ko twakongera, n'ubu ariko vuba aha turaza kongera dusuzume tuvuge ngo ariko duhereye ku ubushakashatsi buriho, amakuru dufite uko icyorezo kimereye n'aba bantu ari mu giturage, ari mu mijyi, byifashe bite, twarekura iki kugira ngo ubuzima butangire bwongere buse n'ubugana uko busanzwe. Ibyo twaba turetseho ni ibihe bishobora gutera ikibazo. Ibyo nabyo nanone dufite indi nama muri iki cyumweru ya guverinoma izabisuzuma, bihereye kuri iyo mibare, bihereye kuri ubwo bushakashatsi, duhitemo ibifungurwa n'ibikomeza n'uburyo bifungurwa mu buryo bw'intambwe twagenda dutera, turekura buhoro kugira ngo ubuzima bugane. Byose turagumya tubirebera mu buryo tutasubira inyuma ngo icyorezo cyongere dutere ibibazo byinshi.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Seoul.
Uriya wambaye impuzu ya wera.
Go ahead, Seoul.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Excellency. My name is Saul Butera. I'm Bloomberg's correspondent. Your Excellency, my question is in connection with Fiona's. With the government's bailout plan, I just want to get a clear picture. Which other companies that have been affected, that they have been identified, apart from Rwanda? Also, does government also look at Rwanda, which other companies have been identified that will be to get the bailout? Also, how much is government looking at the moment? Would you plan to have an external borrowing to cover the bailout plan? Also, maybe how easy and difficult has it been for the government to secure the protective gears and ventilators? Where have they been coming from? Thank you, Your Excellency.
There are people already at work looking at each sector, as I said. It's not just one company or that is going to be favored against the other. It's looking at the situation holistically. Even I think Rwanda has been talked so much about, just because, I mean, people see it more easily than other things, or need it to travel and so on. So that's how it has come up. But life, the economic life, does not start and end with Rwanda. It is a comprehensive thing. So what we are talking about, therefore, is looking at all sectors of our economy. I talked about businesses, different businesses, including small businesses. I've talked about our hospitality, tourism sector. There are different sectors that have been talked about. So all are being looked at in detail. So that's why I'm not comfortable just spelling out a few things here, and then the others that are left out may think they are not being considered, but that's not the case. So we are looking at the comprehensive thing, a comprehensive picture in this regard. So we will definitely be coming up, and we will get to know the details of that. Now, on the side of mobilization of resources, as I said, we are mobilizing resources in so many ways, and that will include whether it means going anywhere, whether it is borrowing or it is sometimes begging, and so it is a mixture of many things. You beg, you borrow, so. But I think we are seeing that both efforts are being productive. Where we have asked for assistance, people have given assistance, and where we go to borrow, or where we shall go to borrow if we decide that, I think the market has been favorable to us because of how we've been performing in our economy. They may be able to lend us. So but all this will come after, when we have analyzed correctly what we need to borrow for, or what we need to ask for money from where and for what. So that's how it is.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next question from Lo.
My name is Laure Boulard. I work for RFI and Le Monde. I have a question about the death of the singer Kizito Mihigo, because different NGOs have questioned the fact that he might have committed suicide, and some representatives of the international community have asked for an independent investigation. So I was wondering what maybe you could answer to their concerns. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't think, well, it depends on what is going to satisfy you, because I'm also informed there have been explanations given not by one person, by many, and on several occasions. So if you are still asking me to explain that, it means you are not satisfied. Or those NGOs you are talking about, or whoever is not satisfied, I'm sorry, that means they will never be satisfied. So I don't think I can satisfy you either. So please, you have to make your mind whether you are satisfied by those who explained it so many times before, or unless you are telling me you'll only be satisfied if I explained it. But if I explained it the same way you have already heard, I'm sure that may add up to not being satisfied again. So can we put that question to rest?
Thank you, sir. Next question from Philbert.
Ibihugu bitandukanye n'abantu batandukanye bakora mu bijyanye n'ubuzima muri iki gihe gushakisha icyorezo cya coronavirus. Bibazaga niba ku ruhande rw'Abanyarwanda hari icyo baba bari gukora by'umwihariko mu gushaka umuti, hanyuma mukaba mwagira n'icyo mutubwira kuri Madagascar iherutse kuvuga ko yabonye umuti w'iki cyorezo. Mwabyumvise gute? Mwabivugaho iki? Murakoze vuba.
Abanyarwanda icya mbere barakora ibishoboka bakoresheje ibiriho cyangwa ibyagezweho byumvikana ku isi hose, uko sayansi tubwira, bikurikije n'inzego zibishinzwe nka World Health Organization. Icyo navuga ko ari jye, ari abandi mu buyobozi bw'iki gihugu, ari muri rusange, twemera amabwiriza ya sayansi y'ubumenyi kurusha indagu cyangwa ubupfumu cyangwa ibyo abantu bavuga gusa kubera ko ariko babishatse. Ibyo turabyirinda. Tugendera ku bimaze kugaragara rero, ikijyanye na COVID-19 ni virusi, hari haracyari ibintu bitaramenyekana neza n'ababizobereyemo ndetse bafite ubumenyi buhanitse ari mu by'ubuvuzi, ari mu bumenyi bujyanye na za virusi zitandukanye, ari byinshi. Hari ibyo bashakashaka, hari ibyo bataramenya, hari ibyo bimaze kumenyekana nko mu buryo bwo kuyirinda ndetse no kuyirwanya, bifite aho biganisha. Aho niho twibanze cyane, ariko n'ibyo bikiri aho, mu Rwanda narwo hari byinshi bigerageza gukora. Niba warabonye, nabonye hari abantu bagenda bakora ibintu bifasha mu bintu by'ubuvuzi. Hari abo nabonye bakora za ventilators, hari abandi nabonye bakora, wenda ejo bazaba abanyarwanda bakoze ibishobora kuyipima, ndetse n'abandi babizobereyemo by'ubushakashatsi barashakisha nabo nk'abandi cyangwa bakoranye na bagenzi babo gushaka kumenya imiterere y'iyi virusi n'umuti wayivura cyangwa se urukingo. Ibi byose ni ibintu abantu bafatanya ku isi hose, ariko n'u Rwanda ntabwo rwasigaye inyuma, rurabigerageza. Ariko uyu munsi ntacyo mfite nakubwira ngo bageze kuri ibi, ku by'ubuvuzi, ku byo kuyirinda mu buryo bw'urukingo cyangwa iki. Ibyo ntabyo abanyarwanda barageraho, ntabwo nabikubwira, ntabyo nzi. Ibya Madagascar rero nabyo mbibona nk'uko wabibonye, wahitamo kubyemera mu burenganzira bwawe cyangwa se ukabigiraho ikibazo ukavuga utereka dutegereze turebe aho byakoze n'icyavuyemo. Nanjye narabibonye ariko narabyumvise, ariko njye nakubwiye ko cyane cyane tugerageza gukurikiza no kumvira sayansi isobanutse nk'uko tuyizi. Ubwo ariko n'ibyo bindi tuzajya tubyumva, turebe ikibirimo icyo ari cyo.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Clément.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Clément Uwiringiyimana. I work with Reuters. My question is about what you essentially said, that Africa as the whole continent needs $100 billion to help deal with the COVID-19 effects. How much exactly does Rwanda need, and how much will you raise it? And the second question is about whether Rwanda is negotiating with its creditors to postpone the payment of the debt. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, the experts have told us that we need around that 100 billion. They even say possibly more. These are experts saying who have gone into details, specifically to deal with this pandemic, to get out of it. We need more to rebuild later on. For Rwanda, I think if you gave us $1 billion of that, we would be happy to try and get started on something decent. So there is no problem with that. And yes, we have been in touch with the lenders. And relating to the debt problem, there has been a lot of argument going around. People asking, and Africans, we are all asking generally, instead of paying money that is due for the money we borrowed some time back, if they could put a standstill on the debt for at least 2 years, that money would be retained and reinvested in our systems, therefore to fill those gaps that exist. So that is going on, and some of it is already bearing fruit because we have received the money from the institutions we've been working with, from the World Bank, from the IMF, and from, we are going to get money from the African Development Bank as well, under different forms and structures, but all to make it easier for us to be able to access funds to fight against the pandemic and also to move forward into after the pandemic.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next question from Brenda.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. My name is Bana Namata. I work for the East African. My first question is related to regional integration. In your current capacity as chair again, we have seen that due to the pandemic, international cooperation is an imperative. Going forward, to what extent, despite the current frustrations you have had trying to put together a meeting, what could the region do differently? And this is because despite what you try to do within your national borders, we continue to see that the case with truck drivers, if the region is not working together, we'll still have problems for a very long time. So going forward, what can we do differently? My second question is in relation to Rwanda's development strategy. 2050 has been, for Rwanda had been placed, there's a lot of focus on MICE, meetings, events, and conferences. And what we are seeing as a result of the pandemic is that there's a real threat that revenue from these sectors will take long to rebound. Do you see the need to revise the country's strategy at this point? You planning to raise the revenue to fund the kind of debt that we're getting at the moment? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Well, for the East African community, and in that sense, regional integration, that remains important, no matter what. So we may fail to do this or to achieve this, but it remains important that we keep cooperating more closely, even than ever before. There's no question about it. So we will find ways of overcoming our failures and our weaknesses. That remains the most important thing. And the points you've raised, for example, when you've seen how truck drivers, as an example, affect countries because they are coming from one country to another and then back and so on, and what they carry with them as relates to the pandemic, of course, is very significant. We need to deal with that. And there is not a single country that can manage that on its own. So it is an imperative. You may postpone it, you may delay it, you may fail to do it, but it remains important. It remains important that we find ways to work together, and we will find ways to work together. So what you're asking, what do we need to do differently? I don't think we even need to do anything differently. We just need to do what we all along agreed we should be doing. And that is working together. But we have had weaknesses in that which we need to overcome. Now, on the second question, as I said it earlier, that even if there was no pandemic, but in implementing your strategy, you always keep checking that the steps you take with the results you're expecting. If that's not being achieved, then you find ways of tweaking it and maybe changing some things here and there. But this time around, we have this pandemic, which is obvious, and the weight of it and the impact. But at the same time, we are also aware it has affected every country. And for mice to work, yes, we expect people to be able to travel and so on and so forth. But it has affected everyone, so there won't be people coming not only to Rwanda, but the whole region and beyond. So there is no movement. It's like there is lockdown across the world. So to say, therefore, in the area strategy, I'm going to replace mice with this, maybe it is too early. Because everything else, even what you are thinking of replacing it with, has also been affected. Because the economy is built on people and activities they get involved in. So everything has frozen. So we will therefore wait a little bit to move forward, even when things start unlocking, and we see in the same way what is it that is working at what time, or is there anything that you can replace it with. But to say it now, I think would be too early in my view, because everything else has been affected. You can see even the trucks that were remaining as the only ones on the road are also being affected. So it seems there's nothing that is not being affected. So we are dealing with a very complex situation, but for the strategy we have had, we will be careful and deliberate. How do we alter it or change anything that needs to be changed?
Thank you, Mr. President. If it's okay, we may take the last two questions, as most have asked. I have a question from Gatete.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. 1973, Arab oil-producing countries declared an embargo on oil. And then within 1 year, in 1974, when they reopened it, the price of oil had increased by 400%. Arab countries became excessively rich, and they were able to raise capital.
They declared an embargo. I didn't get it.
Embargo on the production and export of oil allowed the oil crisis of 1973. This is just to illustrate the. 1 year later, when they production and export, they had increased the price of oil by 400%. I'm saying this in the spirit of how what shall it take for Africa to negotiate the price of commodity, which we have massive reserves, over 70% of, excluding oil, of the world commodities in Africa, resources that are going to be needed COVID industrialization, because that's where we're going. Because if we demand for more aid, this is money that countries are likely to print out of thin air, no guarantee to back that money that they're going to give us. China is going to devaluate its currency as usual and float them and to enable us to import their finished products. As a result, we are not going to be able to industrialize, which is what is needed at this point.
I think I get your point, much as it was getting distorted a bit. But what is wrong? I'm not. It's not on the screen. Yes. Look, for all the work that has to go into that thinking and therefore implementing what you are raising, I guess that is more for the future rather than for now. The situation we are in is not the moment to think about that, because it will just take you to another territory that will worsen your problems for now. But that kind of discussion can come into the future. How, if you want to plot in terms of how you leverage the resources of the continent, that needs a lot of work to be put into it. That lot of work is something that you can see over many years in the past. And also, if you look deeply at why it fails, or it failed in the past, reversing that needs a lot of work by the Africans, by the leaders, and so on and so forth. Even if I would also have to say, not only a lot of work, but a lot of caution. Because you may do it so badly that while you think you are leveraging your commodities to get what you want, the others can leverage on at least temporarily not needing your commodities. And that means you will be stuck with your commodities. So there is a lot of work to be, you have to look at many sides to it. But I'm even hesitant to say that discussion doesn't come now, because now we are in a different situation. I would rather we discuss it when we are in a good place, we are in a good position. That's when you start talking about it. But in a situation like this, where you are almost entirely strangled by the problem, the one we are facing, the pandemic, and the way to come out of it and deal with the situation after, and then you inject this, even if you are 100% right, you would be bringing it at the wrong time, and it will give you a very painful result. So maybe let's think of that in the future.
Very much. Just a quick follow-up, if I may. The controversy we've seen with Dr. Tedros, the World Bank,
okay.
Tedros and the World Health Organization.
But there's something in the communication. There's either here or your microphone is getting.
Again, some countries in the world have been trying to scapegoat the problem of their way they have been dealing with the pandemic to the World Health Organization and Dr. Tedros. Africa has come out strongly to support this. I would like to get your take on where things are at the moment in regard to how the World Health Organization is being supported, undermined in response to the pandemic nationally? Thank you.
Given the magnitude of the problem we are facing of the pandemic across the world, I am of the strong view that this is not the right time to create or bring up these kinds of problems. I think they will take, if we do that, it will take all the effort we should be putting to deal with the pandemic and divert it to something else, and therefore we will lose the battle. So my view is, even from what I have seen from the beginning up to this moment, I'm not aware of anybody or country that would stand there and say, for me, I've been doing things perfectly well. The rest are wrong. I don't know of anyone or any country that can claim that. I think all of us have demonstrated some kind of weakness or another, even given what everybody says in this world. So maybe we need to humble ourselves a little bit and work together, pull together, deal with the problem. And once we are through, people are free to raise any questions they want and say, no, whoever you want to hold accountable, you can hold them accountable. I'm sure there are ways of holding people accountable whenever that right time comes. So why don't we do that? I think that is the best way we can approach it. Let's deal with the pandemic. Let's pull together as much as we can. When we get over it, we can now sort out that problem. So that's where we are, some of us.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could we take the last question from Simon?
Mr. President. I'm Simon Wolfart, correspondent for AFP and France 24. I hope you hear me well. We have seen a number of Rwandans arrested for not respecting the lockdown and the public health measures, but so far authorities haven't shared precise sanctions for those violating the lockdown. And I would like to know what are the exact sanctions for the offenders.
Well, I think some of them have just been arrested and later on released, warned and released, or fined and released. At least I haven't had anybody hanged because of, haven't had anyone because of violation of the rules of lockdown. But definitely there has been enforcement in making sure that people don't break the rules they know they have been told about. So in fact, there have been light measures so far in terms of breaking the rules of lockdown. Some of them, I'm told, have been locked up during the time they have arrested, a day or two, and they are released the next day. So others have just been warned and released, and so on and so forth. So I haven't heard of anybody given a 6-month sentence or 1-year sentence for that. It's just some way of making sure that some discipline that is required is realized going forward.
Thank you, Mr. President. With your permission, we can end here.
Mm-hmm. Nobody still has you. There's somebody there. Is this lady?
Assumpta, next question to you.
Huh?
Assumpta?
Yeah, two. There's one here, then there's another in the corner. I don't see their names. Do you have them on your screen also? The one who hasn't, yes. Ask.
Assumpta, if you can please ask your questions.
Murakoze nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika kuri iri jambo mumpaye. Ibibazo nashaka kubaza bagiye babigarukaho mu zindi ndimi ariko ntibyambuza kukigarukaho. Nashaka kubabaza ngo ibibazo nashaka kubaza babigarutse mu zindi ndimi ariko ntibyambuza kukigarukaho mu kinyarwanda. Nashaka kubabaza ngo muri iki gihe cya Covid-19 inganda nyinshi zimaze gusa nkaho zihomba ndetse zahagaritse abakozi. Muratekereza gute kuzahura ubukungu bw'izo nganda? Hanyuma icyanyuma ni abayobozi bamwe na bamwe bashyira icyemezo cya guma mu rugo ariko rimwe na rimwe bakagaragaza no guhutaza abaturage. Murakivugaho iki? Murakoze.
Inganda n'ubundi buzima bw'igihugu, iki cyorezo bigizeho ingaruka zitoroshye. Mbere rero yuko dusubiza inganda uko zari zisanzwe zikora n'ibiki, biraterwa n'aho tugeze mu buryo bwo kurwana n'iki cyorezo. Iby'uko rero zahungabanye byo birumvikana, ni inganda n'imiryango y'abantu aho batuye n'aho baba bose babaye ibintu byarahungabanye. Niyo mpamvu tugenda dushakisha rero uburyo ibyagenda birekurwa kugira ngo byemerwe bikorwe bijyanye n'aho tugeze mu kurwanya icyorezo ni ibihe. N'ejo bundi nabwiraga abantu ko tuzagira inama ya leta ireba ikusanya y'amakuru hirya no hino bijyanye n'imibare n'aho icyorezo kigeze n'ukuntu abanduye, abanduza, bashakaga barabonetse, n'ibintu birebire. Hanyuma muri ibyo tuzareba niba dufata indi ntambwe. Birashoboka ko tuzatera indi ntambwe hakagira bimwe bitangira kwemererwa gukora nk'izo nganda, wenda n'umubare ukaba muto cyangwa bigakomeza ariko bikurikiza ya mabwiriza agomba gukurikizwa y'abantu kwirinda no kugira ngo barinde n'abandi bitewe n'ibyo bambara cyangwa ibikoresho cyangwa ni umwanya bahana hagati yabo igihe bari ku kazi. Ibyo byose turizera ko nibiramuka byagiye hanze abantu bazumva ko bakwiye kubikurikiza kugira ngo nyine buhoro buhoro ubuzima bugende busubira mu buryo. Nibwira ko ariko byagenda. Ibindi rero bijyanye iteka mu bintu nk'ibi, mu mikorere y'akazi, mu gushyira ibintu ku murongo kugira ngo bikurikize n'amategeko. Abantu bo ni abantu benshi bakora amakosa, ari ab'amategeko akoraho cyangwa ari abayashaka kuyakurikiza, bombi bakora amakosa kenshi. Ariko ntabwo iyo byamenyekanye, iyo umuyobozi yagiriye nabi abaturage binitwa ngo yashaka ko abantu bakurikiza amategeko, yaba bikorana bakica amategeko, iyo bimenyekanye biragororwa, bishyirwa ku murongo, nabyo uwabigize arabibazwa. Hagomba kuba rero hari ahantu abayobozi batuzuza ibintu nk'uko biba bikwiye cyangwa nk'uko bibwirizwa. Ndibwira ko icyangombwa ni abantu bose, ndetse namwe n'abanyamakuru mwabimenye, uwabimenye wese akabishyira hanze, abantu bakagerageza gusubiza ibintu mu buryo, niko byagenda nta kundi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
All right.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mwakoze cyane. Thank you very much.